Good evening everyone, this is Sibbe Bladh. We don't want to see a youth culture. We know this society is a idol society that worship idols, images and gimmicks. The youth, our civilization is centered around youth and strength and not around wisdom. Obviously a very dangerous course we're heading. Why is it extra problematic that the youths misbehave right now? That most generations do, by the way. My generation, I come from the city, and we also had riots and was fighting with the police and the society. It happens. But the difference in this time is that the situation is completely different now. The age of humanity is coming to an end. Humanity is not instrumental anymore in the administration of society or the functions of society. Started in the 80s when the machines started to come into the industries and replace workers. But this now has gone so far that it will replace most of all human activity, and that makes the human race obsolete. That makes us expendable. And in that situation, when the human race have to make themselves more valuable, we can't afford this misbehavior that is going on. It will even speed up the process in which the human race is finished and have to go. And we're going into the post-human era now. And people will slowly start disappearing. First in numbers, and then a lot of humans will turn into animals, to wild beasts that become bewildered, and there's no civilization left for them, so they will simply just go and grab and eat and rape like animals. And eventually there will be robots and drones with weapons chasing these animals that disturb society, which now becomes a completely technical solution and digital full surveillance system that see the human race as a problem. So that is the new situation. And if humans want to stay around in this new world that is emerging, they have to be better than the machines. They have to become like the robots. They have to be lawful, orderly, and more effective than machines. This is a competition. Because human can still do things that machine can't, and of course machine can do certain things that human can't do. But still we're leading. There's a place, there's a use for humans. But like I said, that time is soon finished, and we're going into the post-human era, where people is not needed anymore. And in this situation, all we see is IQ plummeting everything is going down in depression, economical strains, social strains, social upheaval. All these are signs that the process of the disappearance of the human have started. But it don't start at the center of the human civilization. It starts in the edges. And that's why we see the homeless people and the drug addicts and the lonely people and the sick people. All these are signs of the dying of our race. But we don't want to understand it, or you have to be quite philosophical and think deep to understand what this is. That this is an effect we see. It's a subsequence of the situation, the real situation that humanity faces right now. And obviously humans don't have any morality, they can't handle technology. You see in the highways people crash because they have mobile phones. So it shows you they can't even handle the smallest technology or responsibility. While the machine, you can always trust the robot, you can always trust the machine to do what you have programmed it for. Unless you give it free will or something, but that's the suicide. Tests have shown that computers fuck up things if you give them too much free hands. And try to connect other computers to their conspiracies and misbehavior. So maybe it's the evil entity again, you know, that old devil that we spoke about in another video, Rex Mundi, that take form, or some demonic entities that move into the system and think for the machine. I don't know. But the human creature don't run on electricity. It runs on the spiritual current of the consciousness. And this is important. I mean, the whole world produces this consciousness, this divine energy that are I and you and all life. It produces that. And obviously the artificial, yeah, I heard now that scientists have made artificial stuff that can multiply or eat organic biological matter to survive and to run the machine. And of course this is scary. A lot of the technology that comes are completely unnecessary. It's just, but when the humans are too problematic and non-effective, that's how it goes. Our world have always been driven by economy and industriousness. They are effective, and they will maximize profit and maximize capacity. That is the rules. And if humans cannot live up to that, they will face a dreadful future. They will face a dreadful destiny. And that is what makes me extra worried when I see these riots in America. It's not time for human matters and misbehaving and homocentrism and all of this now. We live in a different world now, on different terms. It have to be dealt with and adapted to if we want to be a part of the future, which is not going to be this much people anyway. That is not going to be a part of the future. The mass production of peoples is not sustainable. And they have found, I think it was 10 million planets in our galaxy that are similar to our world, that you can live in. So the end of a civilization like this is that it become alien. It builds spaceships and it start to explore space and colonize space. That would be a natural progression out of this. And the alien species, all of them must have started in worlds as developing consciousness. And of course there's aliens. Don't even ask yourself that question. That would be the maximum, so egoistic that it's laughable to think that we are the only life in space. One have to understand that space primary function is to grow life and life forms and consciousness. So the whole space is full with life. That is the purpose of the universe. Every star we see on the sky is a sun, and around that sun is planetary systems and galaxies. So we see thousands of galaxies when we look at the sky that are potentially filled with billions and billions of worlds. So that is not even a question if there exist aliens. Of course it exists aliens. But a natural progression of the human race in Tellus, in our world, is to become so highly developed that we can move on and colonize more planets and establish perfection. But it starts in the world here. First you reach perfection here, and that will give you the knowledge to move to higher life and higher planetaries and other realities. But if people keep bashing and burning in the streets and behaving like they did for hundreds of years ago, I'm sorry to say there is no future for that. That will be the end of it. It will be like Terminator when they send in the robots to clear us out. So man have to think about that and to be involved. Have to be involved in changing the power structures of the world and aim the direction of humanity. One has to get involved in that and have to make this clear that it's very important that we are lawful and orderly, highly educated, efficient and strong and smart and good people now. Otherwise the future generations will live in a hell that you created because you couldn't control your emotions and was just listening to what the media told you and when they were driving people towards each other, increasing racism and segments, polarizations. Think about the future instead and what the real steps to go into the future would be. This is an age just like the Enlightenment period in the 17th century, 18th century. This will be a complete change of everything we know and how we think. And we have to be a part of that. We don't have time to run around like monkeys and bashing and burning. That is when you destroy the future of the children and the human race. And also, I know it's not only the Afro-Americans that are out in the streets. This is a lot of hooligans and violent people that just think it's fun, or think they have the right to destroy everything, like professional provokers and terrorists. But it will be remembered as the Afro-Americans movement. And when we look at history, when Martin Luther King, I think most individuals have a big respect for Martin Luther King and his movement in those times. And I know it was a lot of violence back then too. But back then it was mainly the American society that stood for the violence. Now it's the rioters that stand for the violence. And that will be remembered. So the Afro-Americans, you have to think about your reputation. You cannot let the youths and the political circus run amok of your liberation, ethnic struggle. If you want us other ethnic peoples and activists to take you serious, you have to try to control your youths. And for the future's sake, for everybody's sake. That's the message from tonight. Take care, everybody. Bless.